All right, good morning, good afternoon out there, Slayers. Again, my name's Carson Cook, and thank you so much for joining us here today, guys, on the Merchant Services Slayers group. This is where we're going to be covering a very cool topic today in merchant services, and that's the steps to the sale, but in regards to sales engineering. Now, a big part about being your own independent ISO or agent office, boutique office, large ISO is that you need to have a sales structure. And you need to have a sales system that you can train new agents on to close more deals, so on and so forth, and managers to flow through that as well. So what we're going to talk about today, guys, is three different ways or three different points that are extremely important in how you would design your steps to the sale. So again, take these tips and use them if you're an independent agent and you're working on trying to create a sales system, whether that's face-to-face, over the phone, so on and so forth. There's a few key factors that you need to understand when sales engineering or developing a sales process for you or your team. So number one, we're going to talk about the sales process in general. Now, the cool part about sales, okay, whether you're in car sales, corporate sales, merchant processing, insurance, if you look at the process or the steps to the sale, they're actually all the same. Okay, they have the same communication techniques, they have the same steps, they have the same processes, they have the same idea of some individual who's very good with communication, psychology, empathy, and understanding, delivering value to a product for someone to purchase that product, okay? So it's super important to understand the similarities, not only in car sales, insurance, and pretty much anything all the way up to Boeing airplane sales, corporate real estate, all the way down to merchant processing. So it's very important and vital to understand that process and understand the similarities so that when you're engineering your sales process, you can break it down into smaller steps, okay? You can break it down into smaller goals to actually have a better shot of presenting that value to your potential client, okay? So keep that in mind, that all sales processes are the same. Give you a good example, okay? Selling cars, there's the meet and greet, the lot walk, you land them on a car, you pull them out, you do a test drive. After the test drive, you do what we call a trial close. You sit them down, you do what we call a four-square negotiation on price, and then an official close, right? Then they go off to finance and they follow the same sales process. That's very similar to merchant processing. There's always a meet and greet, a confident introduction part. There's a stating the agenda. You land them on, a product. You build value and rapport throughout the way. Then there's a final, what we call a trial close or a green light after that and so forth. Then we move to negotiation. So we talk about price. We talk about equipment. We talk about all sorts of different things before you eventually arrive at the close. And then you pull out one of the closes that best fits. You ink up the deal and you send it in. So very similar and important tip to understand. Number two is that we all have different sales styles. So when you're sales engineering, you want to make sure that your steps to the sale are broad enough that they'll fit different sales personalities. In processing, we have people from all walks of life selling with many different backgrounds, with many different techniques, many different ways of building value, many different ways of building up rapport. And those techniques still need to fit within inside of a process. So that's step of the sale. So for example, a confident introduction is going to be very different with many different people. Okay, qualifying will also be very different within many different people. Okay, so from 40-year veterans in sales, all the way up to 19-year-old kids out of college learning sales, it's important to understand that there are different types of styles, and your sales engineering steps of the sale, so when designing these steps of the sale, need to fit within those different personality types, okay? So it's super important to understand, keep it broad enough but very specific so that way your agent knows exactly where they're at throughout the sales process. And you can't move forward if you don't know where you're at, or you don't know where you are. Apologize about that. And then number three, super important, is that you want to make sure that you follow your ISO's process. So if you're new to merchant processing or you have a background in merchant services and you're now starting off on your own, you're an agent office, you're your own agent, you need to take those steps to the sale from what you learned before and kind of, expand upon them. But there's a huge statistic out there, guys, that you're 40% more likely to succeed with the company if you follow their sales process, if you don't reinvent the wheel, okay? Because there's a lot of moving cogs, especially within merchant services, that an agent or a sales individual might not know about. There's underwriting, there's lead generation, there's call centers, there's management, there's HR concerns within that actual office. There's multiple offices. So the sales process is just a cog in the whole process of the wheel. And if you follow the sales process to a T with your ISO, you're 40% more likely to succeed and close more deals and move up the chain of command, become a president, vice president, so on and so forth. So it's super important to understand that to advance your career. and also in designing the steps of the sales. That, not only should you take a look at the current steps of the sale that your ISO's provided, figure out where you can put in your own unique personality and sales practices, so on and so forth, but you still need to follow that process, okay? Because you're 40% more likely to succeed, which means you're 40% more likely to sell deals. You're 40% more likely to be a success story within your ISO, bring value to the company, to your customer, so on and so forth. So super important to understand in designing your steps of the sale and learning a little bit about sales engineering. If you're not a sales engineer yet, guys, if you haven't really focused in on what your company's training you to do and you're not doing at-home study, reading How to Win Friends, Influence People, all sales books out there, and getting different ways around how to communicate with people, then you should be doing that. You should always be an engineer of your practice, engineer of sales, okay? So keep that in mind. Another quick thing, guys, too, we will be having a little bit of announcement if we already haven't released the video yet or not, but if you'd like a little bit more information on a masterclass that covers all of this content, in very much detail, 30-day masterclass. It's 20 hours of video with over 20 hours of activities. Again, been beta tested. Click on the link below to learn a little bit more. We are going to be giving this masterclass away for free, or sorry, not for free, but for $50 a person for the first 50 people, and trade for testimonials. Okay, it's super, super important. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but if you want information more on Card Builder, click on the link below. Also, please like, share, and subscribe, guys, to this YouTube channel. It does help the algorithm. It also helps get this video in front of a lot of people, a lot of sales individuals. So share this with anyone in merchant services, insurance, any sales industry that you can. Talk to you soon, and thanks for joining us here, guys, with Merchant Service Slayers.